My legs, independence, and almost my desire to live were taken away by an accident 3 years ago. But in a way I never anticipated, it brought me him. I want to start by expressing my gratitude to my amazing subscribers. I am able to publish these stories that explore the messy, unvarnished corners of life because of your constant support. This one is challenging. Stay with me. According to the doctor, I was fortunate. I'm glad I wasn't crushed by the semi-truck. I'm glad my spine wasn't cut. Fortunately, my son Noah wasn't with me in the car that evening. Fortunate, they said. A humorous term for a woman whose legs scream in protest when she takes more than 10 steps. When Noah was in school, our tiny Ohio home used to feel too huge. Feels too little now. He's everywhere. Cooking, rearranging my pillows, and carrying me into the shower when my muscles fail. My boy, my man, because no one ever tells you that when you have a child at 16 they will grow up very high. Noah has always been tall, but at 20 he has broad shoulders from years of construction work. His eyes, voice, and hands are all rough. God, his eyes are identical to those of his father. The person who abandoned me as soon as that pregnancy test came up pink. Mom, I yell, bringing myself back to the here and now. Noah stands in the doorway holding a bowl of soup. His voice is heavy with worry as he says, "You didn't eat lunch." I mutter, "I wasn't hungry, even if it's untrue. You're never." With a grimace, he places the bowl on my bedside table. Once more, "Your legs are acting strangely." I don't respond as he is already aware. He is always aware. He rolls up my sweatpants and sits on the side of my bed without asking. As his fingers glide over the sharp scars from innumerable surgeries, my breath catches as he touches my skin. He says, "Can I?" in a softer tone than I would have thought. I give a nod. His initial clinical touch involves rubbing the tense muscles surrounding my knee. I bite my lip in an attempt to keep it together as his thumb touches a knot close to my inner thigh. "You seem tense," he whispers. "You have no idea," I mumble in a tremulous voice. I feel my chest thump as his hands rise higher. My legs are no longer the focus. Something else is involved. Something that quickens my heartbeat. I convince myself that the agony is simply being relieved by the warmth of his hands. However, I stop breathing as soon as his fingers touch the edge of my shorts. He also pauses. Between us, the air crackles. For a moment, neither of us moves. He then pulls my pant leg down and stays out of my eyes after clearing his throat. "Better?" he says in a strained tone. I mumble, "Yes, thanks," as my face begins to heat up. He takes up the soup and walks away after he pauses as if he wants to say anything more. I look up at the ceiling and relive the brief moment when his touch nearly went too far. And I feel something scary, something other than anguish for the first time in years. The morning light streamed through the drapes, too cheery and bright for the mental maelstrom I was experiencing. I hadn't slept. I could feel Noah's hands on me every time I closed my eyes. They were warm, rough, and persistent. I told myself it didn't matter. A caregiver relieving pain, a son supporting his mother. That wasn't agony though, because my skin burned when he touched me. I was brought back to reality by the sound of Noah's door crashing down the hallway. As if he could see the ideas rushing through my head, I swiftly repositioned the blanket over my lap. Steps. Then my doorway was flooded with his shadow. "You're up early," he murmured in a sleep-addled voice. He had gotten a tattoo over his ribs last year without telling me, and he was wearing sweatpants low on his hips and without a shirt. I turned my head away and murmured, "I couldn't sleep." "Lex again?" he said as he sat next to me. "No," I answered hastily. With a sigh, Noah sat next to me on the bed. He put his hands on my bare calf and pulled the blanket back without asking. I recoiled when I felt his touch's familiar coolness. "Sorry," he said in a whisper. Cold hands. I wasn't tense because of the cold. It seemed as though he was learning my shape by the careful and methodical manner his fingers dug into my skin. "You're tight everywhere," he said in a low voice. I took a deep breath. I could act like it was an accident last night, but now that it was daylight, it was impossible to deny what was taking place. His palm moved slowly up the back of my leg as his thumbs circled higher. Noah said, "Calm down," in a deeper than normal voice. "You're fighting it." However, I wasn't resisting the massage. This was something I was fighting. How my body reacting to him. When his fingertips touched the edge of my shorts, my breath caught. How my gut clenched when I saw him staring at me. The way a man looks at a lady is different from how a son looks at his mother. The moment was cut short by a knock on the front door. With a swift jerk, Noah's hands withdrew. With a tightening of his voice, he queried, expecting someone. My heart was racing, yet I whispered. Noah went to the door to answer it. Our nosy neighbor, Mrs. Calloway, came out and inquired whether we needed anything from the shop. Noah graciously declined, shutting the door after her. His visage was inscrutable upon his return. His sneer said, "Do you think she suspects?" My heart skipped a beat. He winked and replied, "Suspects what? That we never reimbursed her for the casserole dish she delivered last month." My hands shook, but I forced a laugh. For a second I thought he meant us. The storm that night cut off the electricity, leaving the house in complete darkness. As Noah lighted candles, his face was shadowed by the flickering light. He was seated on the couch next to me and I could feel his warmth. He questioned, "Are you cold?" Oh, I was lying. Untruthful. In any case, he covered us with a blanket. Neither of us moved when our legs brushed under it. Outside, a tree branch was scraping the roof like fingernails on glass due to the wind. His hand then touched mine. Not by chance. Not a casual gesture. His rough, firm fingers threaded through mine. I ought to have retreated. I didn't. His eyes were piercing and black in the candlelight, displaying a mixture of yearning, pleading, and warning. The room was immediately filled with light when the electricity returned. As if we had been scorched, we leaped apart. However, the current that existed between us remained. It was only getting stronger. Just one kiss. All it needed to shatter us was that. We failed to reach the bedroom. I grabbed at Noah's shirt while he pinned me to the couch, his hips crushing down. Neither of us bothered that the fabric was ripped at the collar. "Look at me," he exclaimed. What I saw when I did broke my heart. In his view, this went beyond simple passion. It was affection. The kind that causes scarring and breaks bones. Noah then made aimless circles on my naked shoulder while we lay entangled in silence. Quietly, "You okay?" he said. I was unsure of how to respond. Oh, indeed. Just as I knew he wasn't sorry, he knew I was lying. His voice was so soft when he did speak again that I nearly missed it. "Since I was 15, I have desired you." The fact that this wasn't an accident made my stomach drop. It was bound to happen. Silence can sometimes speak louder than words.